going on, guys? It's Caleb, and today we have a Mercedes A35 AMG that is rolling its way through the shop for a detail. Now this is a little different because it is a satin wrapped car in its beautiful color shifting kind of green sheeny looking wrap, and it is in to get ceramic coated, but please know right away that this has been on the car for about 8 to 10 months or so with no protection. So we're going to run into a couple of things that you would expect to see from a satin wrap without any protection, such as staining, and then you have UV decay in some areas, things like that. It's not the end of the world, and I will tell you by the end of the video the car looks fantastic. So go ahead and stick around with me. We'll get into the schematics of like what a satin wrap is versus like a gloss wrap or paint in general. So let's get these wheels nice and cleaned up because, man, I tell you what, they are in dire need of attention. After a very heavy-duty pre-treatment phase and brushing all the crevices, we want to move to the wash phase now, and it's very important to note whenever you're washing this thing or doing anything physically to touch the wrap, you just want to go very light with it. You're not going to want to take a very hard, thick bristle brush and start scrubbing away at the wrap or anything like that. The stains that you might see on a satin wrap are not going to be able to really be taken out, and whatever kind of hardcore physical scrubbing you do to it, it's just going to take away from the wrap, especially with one like this that has some sheening capabilities to it. It's really going to stand out. Kind of the same way with paint when you think about it. Like, you wouldn't take a hard bristle brush and just start brushing away at paint because it's going to start scratching and marring it. Just with a wrap, it's much more noticeable. So because of that, I don't use anything harder than a microfiber towel, and I try to make the chemicals do majority of the work. Using chemicals to do majority of the work is kind of like the main idea of this entire detail here, especially with a wrap that's kind of dirty, and especially if it's satin. Right here I'm using Stoner Car Care's tar and sap remover to kind of decontaminate the wrap on the lower portions of the vehicle, and what I do is I spray it on and then later on come through with a microfiber towel dedicated to only this sort of a step, and I very gently spread the product around while applying just minimal pressure to pick up some tar and deposits that are on the wrap. Now that the car is washed and in the shop, there's a couple little things I want to do before applying any kind of coating, and the first thing is actually a glass coating. Now for the product I use for such a thing, I like using Stoner Car Care ceramic glass coating, but before I do anything, I need to get the glass cleaned and prepped. To do that, I usually use Stoner Car Care's glass stripper, but this time I decided to kind of test out a different product, and this time I decided to use Adams Polish's water spot remover, which is a great product for removing things like oxidation behind emblems with a soft bristled brush, but as for getting water spots off glass, you really gotta work for it. I would recommend just sticking with some sort of glass stripper. Me personally, I think Stoner's is one of the best glass strippers out there, and I'm not just saying that because I'm some sort of corporate shill for this company. It just really is a good product as well as a great company, and these guys allow me to really put the product to the test and compare it to other products and be outright truthful with you guys, which is just uncommon in today's industry. So if you're interested in their glass coating or stripper or even invisible glass, which everyone knows about, just check out the description below. There's a couple of links. Otherwise, the Adams water spot remover actually worked pretty good on the wrap itself. I went through the entire wrap to see if it would get rid of any of the water spotting and etching, and I gotta say, it got rid of probably around half, which on a satin wrap isn't really heard of, especially if it's been like a mud stain or water etching or something that's been really baking in that wrap for quite a long time. Alright, we've just had the time warp to the next day so I can explain myself. I mean, you guys saw me in the last clip of using water spot remover on the wrap. Worked beautifully. I didn't get a lot of footage of that though because I was expecting to get the coating delivered yesterday, but thanks to, I'm not going to say names, it didn't come. It was supposed to come here by 8 p.m. They said at 8 p.m. they tried to deliver it, but it didn't happen. They said no one was here, which is BS because I'm here, as well as 8 other people were here working on their cars. And it's like, are you kidding me? So thankfully, Tent by Tyler, my buddy Tyler, I'll put his Instagram and YouTube in the description, the guy you see me going over like I did the S5 and stuff like that, and the Corvette over there. He had some Fusion, Expels, Fusion, ceramic, whatever left over. I ran over to his shop, broke in, grabbed that. So we need to go ahead now and wipe down the paint with some CarPro's eraser just to make sure it's squeaky clean, and then we can focus on putting on the coating. It's been a stressful morning, my God.
Does that even work? Huh? Ceramic coating of wrap, does that even work?
Yeah, UV protection so it doesn't rip off the paint after a couple of years.
Oh. Yeah. The other one blew up?
I guess so. I'm not 100% sure. I thought it was Tony's at first because there's like a whole new thing now of people getting those kind of boxers at one swap. So you can do a proprietary cost, all 8 letters, and they come to a cone like this, one all the way out, and it sounds like an F1 car. It's insane the way those exhaust sound. Someone did it just for fun. for the ceramic coating itself, we're going to be using Fusion Plus from XPEL, which is a wonderful coating. It's a little pricey for what you're getting, but it does do the job well. Now, one thing to note whenever you are coating a satin wrap is that it's going to use a lot more product than usual, especially if you're comparing it to something like paint or gloss wraps. The reason for that being is because a gloss wrap or paint is actually a flat surface that allows light to evenly reflect off, giving you that glossy look. But with satin, think of like a serrated edge on like a knife or something. That's pretty much the entirety of the surface. So whenever light tries to reflect off of it, it can't do it so evenly and blissfully like gloss. It's going to give you that matte kind of satin sheeny type of look. And you have to fill in all those parts with a flexible coating, which is going to require you to use a little bit more product. And it also kind of explains to you whenever it gets damaged or stained how it works too, because some of those serrated edges, quote unquote, end up decaying more than other parts of the wrap, and that's what gives you a difference in look depending on where the damage is at. If that makes sense, great. If it doesn't, well, maybe in a future video I'll try to break it down even further and really explain it. being coated. We're gonna go ahead and put on tire dressing. I'm exhausted. It's hot. That's it. The car is done. The ceramic coating from XPEL is actually really good. It can be used on matte, it can be used on gloss, it can be used on paint, it can be used on glass, it can be used on literally everything. It's a wonderful yet expensive coating, and Tyler really saved me on this one because I was going to be using G-Technics Halo, but I got screwed over from shipping, and thank God I have connections here in town. Before I end the video though, if you guys enjoyed it, please show me by leaving a like, and if you like car content of any sort, go ahead and press the subscribe button. I really want to give a shout out to Stoner's Car Care because they did send me a whole bunch of stuff. Again, a little care package, thank you. A lot of tar and soap, sap remover because I use that stuff a lot, and even their hybrid ceramic liquid wax. So I'm gonna give this stuff a try. Huh? Move my car? Oh, here. So that's it for me. I'm done. It's hot. It's a Saturday. Formula Drift is on, which is my favorite sport. Upstairs, everyone's watching it. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up down here, clean up my mess, and go do that. I got to get you guys some final clips though. So stay tuned for the ending final cinematic that I usually do. And y'all have a good one.